CAA first set of citizenship certificates have now been granted. Remember, the rules were notified just on March 11, the Citizenship Amendment Rules 2024. This now enables the implementation of the Citizenship Amendment Act, and now the first set of citizenship certificates have been granted. The Union Home Secretary has handed over these certificates in Delhi just ahead of elections. Remember, the CAA rules had been notified. This was a very controversial proposal by the central government that had been opposed by the opposition, had even sparked off major protests 4 years ago when they were first announced. But just ahead of elections, you had the rules being notified. This essentially means it facilitates quick citizenship to those from neighboring countries and from Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan belonging to Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist, Parsi, Christian and Jain communities. And this is something that had raised a huge controversy and has been challenged in the Supreme Court as well, where it was questioned that how can it discriminate on the basis of religion, though the BJP has and the central government have defended it, saying that we are offering a fast-track citizenship to the persecuted communities who are in these three countries, neighboring countries, and which are Muslim majority countries. So allowing those belonging to the Hindu, Sikh, Buddhist, Parsi, Christian and Jain community a quick fast-tracked citizenship to India, and now the first applicants getting that citizenship under the CAA. So that is the breaking news right now. This first set of citizenship certificates have now been given, have been granted to 14 people. So their citizenship got fast-tracked. Interesting that this announcement was made just before the elections were announced, so that Model Code of Conduct had not come into force, and this announcement that the rules had been notified took place in March, just ahead of elections. And now in the midst of elections, the first set of certificates have also been issued, and Citizenship Amendment Act, they're becoming a reality, with the certificates being issued to the first few people under under the CAA. So CAA becoming a reality, and first set of certificates have been granted by the Ministry of Home Affairs. Remember, 4 years ago when the Citizenship Amendment Act was first announced, it had sparked massive protests in various parts of the country, in Assam as well, where it was a very controversial issue. There were two issues that had created the controversy, really. One was CAA, Citizenship Amendment Act, under which people belonging to 6 religions in the 3 neighboring countries would be granted fast-track citizenship. There was also another announcement of a national listing of citizens being made, and that is what really had created this entire controversy at the time. So now the Citizenship Amendment Act becoming a reality, and in the midst of elections, the first certificates being issued in Delhi by the Ministry of Home Affairs. So Citizenship Amendment Act essentially means those belonging to minority religions in Bangladesh, Afghanistan, can get fast-track citizenship, that is in Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan. Those who want citizenship of India, it will be fast-tracked. The objections to this which were taken to the Supreme Court, was that there's discrimination. It mentions these 6 religions, but it leaves out Muslims, and opposition had also pointed out how there are different sects of Muslims in these countries that are also persecuted and would also perhaps want this same citizenship. So now the MHA issuing the first set of certificates. So it's interesting that it happens right in the midst of elections, given how controversial the Citizenship Amendment Act was, how the opposition had opposed this at the time. Students had opposed it. There had been many protests in different parts of the country as well. And in March, these rules were finally notified. Well, let's go across to Saurabh now for more. And Saurabh, so in the middle of elections, you have the first set of certificates under the Citizenship Amendment Act being issued.
Yes, the timing is very precise. And, if you see the CAA notification came right before the election, of course, and now you have this first set of citizenship certificates being issued. And those have also come right before these areas vote. For example, constituencies like Bonga, which is, of course, a very, very, it's a Motwa-dominated seat, and therefore the CAA has most impact in that seat. It goes to polls in the next phase. Bonga votes in the next phase, and therefore you will see how this, of course, is also many would say, timed perfectly to elections. And obviously, this process has started a few days ago with the notification of the CAA notification, but obviously there was some kind of what one should say, there were some doubts over the process and whether it would be unconditional citizenship or not. There were some documents that had been asked, but now, of course, you see the first set of citizenship certificates being handed out. And this, of course, also is perhaps an image that will help the BJP, because remember, the BJP has been saying that citizenship will be provided under CAA. No one can stop it. The Chief Minister said she will not allow it, and CAA will not be allowed in West Bengal. It's been a debate, a heated political debate between the Chief Minister and the Prime Minister and the Home Minister. And it seems that at this point, though some citizenship certificates are being handed out as we're reporting from New Delhi, but obviously this is something that will also have an impact very much in West Bengal, where CAA is a key issue in a few seats of West Bengal, where there is, of course, a border population and also refugees from across the border who seek Indian citizenship based on the CAA law, the Citizenship Amendment Act.
Right, and that coupled, with the National Register of Citizens is what had really created that fear and controversy at the time. But let's go across to Neeta also for more from Neeta. And Neeta, the CAA rules being notified took place just ahead of elections being announced. So that had also raised eyebrows at the time. The opposition had questioned the timing then. And now in the midst of elections, you have the first set of certificates being issued by the Ministry of Home Affairs.
Gargi, as per the government is going by the rules, they are going by the laws. They had already notified the CAA rules on 11th of March 2024, and they had introduced an online portal system, and there was a proper checks and balance mechanism which had been put in place as to how these people would be granted certificates. So now many people have applied. The first set of 14 applicants were handed out citizenship certificates by the Union Home Secretary. He was also accompanied by the Director Intelligence Bureau and also the Registrar General of India, and some senior officers were also there. It was an interactive session. The government, the MHA always reminds us that the MHA had notified this rule on 11th of March, and the said process was there as per the rules. Hindu, Sikh, Jain, Buddhist, Parsi, Christians communities from Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan who had entered India before 31st of December 2014 were eligible to apply for citizenship. Now the first set of certificates, that is 14 people, were the first lucky ones who have got these certificates. These certificates were handed to them by the Union Home Secretary. Gargi?
Right, and there were, groups that had come to India, as you mentioned, many years ago, had been languishing and waiting for that citizenship, and now it had got fast-tracked and those first set of certificates being issued. But the timing is something we can expect the opposition will really raise questions about. Nazir also joining us now for more on this. And Nazir, this had been a massive controversy when it was announced at the time 4 years ago, the Citizenship Amendment Act. We've seen the kind of protests at the time. Then, being notified just ahead of elections, and now you have the first set of certificates being issued. Several opposition parties had taken this matter to the Supreme Court as well.
Well, timing of the issuing these certificates is very important, since this has been one of the most contentious issues where political parties and the Muslim groups have been talking about how Muslims have been singled out in this case. But the government has always talked, it is the non-Muslims in these particular countries who are facing persecution. It is not, It is not motivated by any other reason except those because these communities have been facing, these persecution in these particular countries.